Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina, and I am a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. I have another special guest coming on here with me. I met her over a year and a half ago, and we instantly became like family. My husband, children, and I love her and her wife to pieces. Sometimes you meet people that are a part of your soul family, and you know it the minute that you are in their energy. I'm grateful that I've gotten to be a part of her spiritual journey as she opened up to healing her life. She is actually sitting right beside me, and I am so glad that we are recording this in person. So, everyone, please help me welcome Kayla to the podcast. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I am really happy and surprised you said yes to come on the podcast.
Like I said to you before, if you would have asked me probably about a good 3-4 months ago, I probably would have said no right away. But for some reason, the second that you asked me, there's no hesitation. It was just, yeah, of course, I'll come on.
Which is amazing. That tells me that you are a lot further along on your path than when I met you a year and a half ago. And I really wanted to share how we met because every time I think about it, I laugh a little bit because
It is pretty funny.
it is a little funny. So we met at a group reading. So I went to your friend's house, a year and a half ago, I think the July before,
Yeah, it was around
right?
July.
And I remember when I was sitting there and the group session hadn't started yet. So people were coming in and everybody's like kind of getting their drinks and stuff. And your wife walked in first, right? Because did you come after her? You did, right? Or you
I
didn't come in
dropped her off.
together?
Yeah,
Did
we
you?
came in together.
I'm trying to remember right now.
I came in to say hi because I knew the girl obviously that was putting it on.
Okay,
So I
all
come
right.
say hi because I was at work that day. So I went and
You were
dropped
in uniform.
Yeah.
By the way, you are an RCMP officer here in Canada, in
That is
Alberta.
correct. So yeah, I dropped her off, and yeah, she came first, and then I immediately seen you sitting on the couch.
I was sitting there and I look over at Brittany and she's like looking at me and talking to the host of the party. And she's like saying, I'm not going to tell this lady anything. I am just going to keep my mouth shut and I'm not saying anything. And all of a sudden the host looks at her and she's like, well, that's the psychic like right there. And Brittany looks over at me. She goes, oh no. And I'm like, no, it's all good. Don't worry. I'm used to people being skeptical. It's totally fine. But when I looked over at you, I was just like, first of all, my eyes just went right to you. And I think I kind of made you uncomfortable, didn't I? Because
Yeah, I mean, when I first came in, I knew it was really you were the one who was doing the readings because like it was just you and the person hosting it, and then everybody else was off in the kitchen.
they're hiding from me.
So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this put two and two together. This must be the person who's here to give the readings. And then all of a sudden, it just like things started to change. I got a really like high pitch ringing in my ear, and I think I remember even saying to you,
You
like,
did.
do you guys hear that? Like it was to the point where like I had to even rub my ear, like it just trying to get it go away.
Yeah.
And then eventually it went away, and then all of a sudden I just got super hot.
Like your face went
Yes, and I mean
beet
I normally
red.
get hot in uniform anyways because it was July, so it was summertime. But yeah, my face, I got really flushed, like overheating, like, and it was almost like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I even because I think my wife said like, "Oh, you sure you don't want to stay?" And I was like, "Nope, I've had enough. Like, I'm
I
out of
gotta
here.
go.
Like, this
is weirding me out."
Yeah, I gotta go."
You
So,
were really uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and I didn't mean to stare at you. I mean, obviously, I think you're beautiful, but it wasn't that. It was I just kept seeing something about you that I couldn't put my finger on, and I think that's what made you uncomfortable because you're like, "Why are my cheeks going so red?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'll look away. I don't know where to look."
And it's funny you say uncomfortable. I don't necessarily think I was uncomfortable to be there. I think it was just, I don't know what it was. Like it was just like maybe I felt attention, like people were staring, and maybe you were staring. But I was
Sorry.
trying to avoid eye contact.
I'm sorry.
Maybe that's what it was. And obviously I knew what you were going to do, and I got asked if I wanted to take part, which I didn't want to because I didn't really necessarily have the full perception of what you did. I was under the impression that you told the future, and I'm the type of person that I don't want to know the future. I want to experience things the way that they're meant to experience, and I don't want to spoil life
That makes sense.
with things that come up. So that was my first impression when I got asked by the host and by my wife if I wanted to take part. Right away, I was like, nope, she's going to tell me the future. I don't want to know the future.
That's right.
I don't want to know if anything happens. So I think that's why I felt uncomfortable, because I was like, I'm feeling all these things. I'm like, oh my God, is she going to tell me something that I don't want to hear?
What does she see?
Yeah. So it wasn't like I was uncomfortable to be there. It was like, there's obviously things going on. Because it's not that I didn't believe in it, but yeah, it was never something that I strongly
felt like doing.
Yeah. I just never had that opportunity to. And like I said, once I started to feel things, and I was like,
oh my God, I'll never forget your face. I remember laughing and thinking, oh my God, this poor woman is like,
it was like
beet red. And yes, I've never seen someone go that red. Everything was just like starting to happen. And I was staring because I felt like I knew you. And that's why. It wasn't because I was just like being weird, I swear. But I was really drawn to you and Britt. So I was like, I couldn't explain it, and I'm trying to make sense of it, but I'm also, in my mind, prepping for what was going to be a big group reading with a whole bunch of women. And I'm like, all these things are hitting me at once. All of their past loved ones are coming around me. Then I'm like looking at you guys, and I'm like, how do I know you? It was so weird. Yeah. And so we started the group reading. You left, and I remember thinking, oh, it's too bad you didn't stay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't. After I left, I was like, I didn't even turn my head around. I just...
You were beelining it.
Yeah, and I was done.
Yeah, and then we started it, and I was like, okay, let's go. And Brittany, oh my God, Kayla, she was like almost not gunning me down, but like kind of like giving me these eyes. So I couldn't even make eye contact with her. I'm like, I'm blocking you. I've got work to do. I get it. You're skeptical. I get it that you just, are trying to figure this out. But I'm like, I can't focus on that because it will throw me off. I need to just block it and then do my job. And so many people were getting readings. It was like one after another. And I remember at one point I kind of looked over at her and I was like, uh-oh. I knew it was for her because I can always tell. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even want to do this because I think she's not going to take it really well. And I think I might have, yes, I did know that she was also RCMP because she had mentioned it. You guys had talked about it beforehand. And so I'm like, great. I'm sitting here with an officer. And I think what I was feeling was that there was so much stress coming off of her. And then all I could think about was, oh, great, she's an officer. And I'm going to look, I'm going to say, hey, she's got PTSD. Well, most police officers have PTSD, right? So I'm like, I'm going to look crazy, right? I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to look like I'm making something up. And I said to my guides and to the person that was trying to connect with her, I'm like, hey, if you're going to come in, you need to be specific or I'm not doing this. And I'm having these conversations in my head, right? So, and I won't go into further detail because I would love for Brittany to come on here and share her story and how she experienced it. So for now, all I will say is that there are things that nobody could possibly know about her reading. And she sat there with her mouth wide open, just like, how did you know that? And I'm like, because they told me, Yeah. And then we went and did private readings downstairs after the fact of the group. And she sat there and she was like, just shocked because I was, telling her things about her life and her family. And she was like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, this is my job. Yeah. And it was in that moment, like when we were downstairs, I'm looking at her and I'm like, God, she seems familiar. And I couldn't put my finger on it, but we just instantly hit it off too. And then I don't even know where it went from there. I really don't. I just remember her messaging me, I think, after or...
Well, I think you guys, she stayed quite a while afterward.
Because she was right till the end. She didn't want to leave.
Because I came in, was coming to pick her up, and I think I texted her because I had to go back to work. I was working the next morning at 6 a.m. and I was like, it's like 9:30, and I was like, hey, like, are you almost done? Like, about to go to bed. And she's like, yeah, like, okay, you can come pick me up. And I think, you came waltzing out with her, and even then, like, I started to get a little bit, like, I'm nervous, but I could feel, like, my heart racing a little bit, and, like, but you were just glowing, like, you just, like, came floating down the driveway, and it was just, like, there's something, like, peaceful about you, like, something intriguing, like, I want to spend more time with you, I want to get to know you, but at the same time, like...
You were so guarded. I didn't even come... Did you remember? I didn't even come up to the truck.
Yeah.
I saw your face, and I went, whoa, I got a stop sign. So I kind of backed off and around the corner a bit to say bye to Britt, because I was like, she's not ready to go there. I'm not going to push her. And we stayed kind of... Well, I stayed back a little bit, because I could feel your energy so strong, too. And then from there, I think... I want to say we added each other on like Instagram or something. And then I don't even remember. That's
Yeah,
how effortless this was.
Yeah, some form of social media. I think Britt even texted you asking if you wanted to hang out, or
I don't even
I don't
know.
know. Yeah, but it wasn't until she came home and she told me all about the experiences that she had and things that I didn't even know. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, and then especially one of the incidents that I knew of, that there was no way that you could have Googled it. There was no way you could have Facebooked or anything, could have found anything about it. And then that's when I started to get really intrigued. And I was like, oh, okay. It was like, well, obviously that's not the experience that I had in my mind that she experienced, that you gave to her. And then, yeah, that's when I started to, I guess, start letting my wall down and start that curiosity, let it run wild. Because then after that, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to. Like, it was just something right away. It was almost like I needed proof.
Yeah.
Which, it's unfortunate because people in your line of like work, what you do is you get a bad rep. All these people seem that you do things, like I said, telling the future, which I thought you did, right? And there's some people who aren't as genuine and don't have the ability, so it makes a bad impression for you, which is very unfortunate. But having somebody who I was connected to come and tell me experiences that she had made it almost more valid. Like, it was like, oh, okay,
if you trust it. And she was so skeptical.
Yes, and she's very much like, she needs proof. We're very A-type personalities.
Yeah.
Comes along with the job, but it's like, I need physical proof, physical evidence to know that this is real. And you gave that to her, and me being so close to her, I was like, okay, well, I believe my wife. Like, she must be legit. Like, this must be real. Like, so that's what started me being more intrigued and wanting to come and speak with you and have a session eventually with you.
And from there, though, we actually went to dinner first. Remember?
We went on Dockside. Yep.
Yeah, we did. We went to a really cool restaurant, actually, right on the lake here in our city. And you guys walk in, and I have to share this story. Okay, this is kind of it's bad, but
something that I've heard or no?
I think so. But you guys came in, and I'm like, wow, you're both just so stunning. But it's not just the physical being that I see. I see deeper. I see the soul. And I couldn't help but be mesmerized. I'm like, wow, there's something about these two. And you guys sat down, and I remember thinking, I'd like to order a glass of wine. That's all I was thinking. And then I'm like, wait a second, but I drove here. I'm not going to have any more than one glass. But I'm like, is this okay? I'm sitting with two police officers. That's what I thought.
Yeah, we often get that sometimes.
Well, because I'm like, is it wrong? Is it bad?
Bit,
you know, and that when I forget what you do now, but like back then I was like, you know, it goes back to probably just my past and some of the trouble I got into as a younger
and some
woman.
People forget that just because that's our job, like, we are people
still
too.
human.
Like,
I know.
It's a uniform, but we're also human too. So.
But in that moment, that's what I kept thinking was, oh my God, is it okay? And then I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a glass of wine, and we did. We ended up having a glass of wine, a huge dinner, and we were there for hours, like 4 hours.
I think we were probably the last people there. Yeah.
Yeah, we shut it down, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's when I know it's effortless, because there wasn't a moment of awkwardness. It was, I just knew you guys, and I can't explain it. I just knew you. And from there, that's when you decided, okay, I think I'd like to come and do a session, because it was after that you kind of let your guard down with me, and you're like, okay, I trust you now, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm a lot easier doing that than my wife is. But yeah, it was almost like I said, I needed that proof, and almost like seeing you, and like, again, like there was just, like you said, when you met me for the first time, there's just something about you that just, I'm drawn towards you. I'm just like, I want to tell you everything. I just feel like we're like long lost friends that we've maybe met like millions of years ago, that like
we had to.
It's just one of those people that you can just sit down and instantly have a conversation with. There's no forcing it. There's no pauses or awkward silence. Like it was so natural.
It honestly was. I do think that it was so effortless, and for me as well, because I'm also extremely guarded. You can imagine I meet people on a daily basis. Like I'm meeting 4 or 5 people a day, and I am guarded because I see so much. But when I do let my guard down and I feel like I can trust someone, I'm like, I really opened up and said, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. And we had such a great night.
It was great.
And then you came for a session. Now, your wife had told me ahead of time that you don't cry. And I was like, who doesn't cry?
Yeah, I don't cry. It's something, like you said, growing up, we were kind of taught not really to show emotions, not to feel emotions as kids. And it's kind of just grown on me through an adult. Like I don't, even my wife says I think maybe she's seen me cry once, and that was on our wedding day.
That's what she said.
So
For
yeah,
real.
I don't, like I said, before meeting you, and
I know, I'm so sorry.
you're the reason for it now. But before meeting you, yeah, I can't even remember the last time I cried. Even thinking about even seeing family members at funerals and stuff, like maybe I shed a tear, but I don't think it was a true cry. I don't think it was a true release. So yeah, that was definitely a wall that you completely broken down.
Yeah, you come into my room, and I'm trying to remember how long it took, but you were in tears pretty soon after the session started, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, well, it's a tough time. It was
Yeah.
kind of a coincidence, but we were trying for I think 2 months to try to get a session booked, and nothing was working. It was either something come up on my end or something came up where the time wasn't right. I was not getting frustrated, but just like, oh, like I was just really eager to have it done, like just to get in there. But
Yeah.
and then my grandma passed away, and then all of a sudden it was like it opened up and which I know now is there was a reason for it. So
You weren't meant to come until that.
yeah,
And she was,
Yep.
somehow they know right ahead of time, and,
Yeah.
and they do time it right. And then you did come in, and she came in, I don't know how
it was
long
right
after,
away.
but was it?
Right away? You said that she was pretty much knocking on the door,
Oh, really?
trying to tell you like, hey, like I got you stuff to tell you, which is awesome because she's so near and dear to my heart, and she still is today. Like I talk to her all the time, thanks to you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I really don't remember much of our session at all, because again, I tell everybody in every podcast episode that I do delete 99% of the information because I don't want to retain it. And all I can say is that I remember her coming in and validating certain things that, again, I didn't know about you or whatever, and that what you needed in your life. And it was like a floodgate kind of opened, and everything kind of came out.
And like I said, I blame Karina solely on me crying. Now I'm like a sieve. Now I don't stop crying. I think I'm over emotional, but hey, I've got now 33 years of bent up emotions that I've never let go. So I know it's healthy. I feel good afterwards. I don't necessarily look the best while crying, but I know it's meant to be. And like I said, there's a reason why I've met you and the timing that I met you. And I'm so thankful that it came at the time that it needed to, because I am a completely different person than I was, I would even say like a year and a half ago.
I would say so too. I agree with that, because you all of a sudden, well, when Brittany told me that, you literally, she had only seen you literally cry one time, or maybe twice, I think she said.
Yeah.
No, it was probably
it wasn't more than
let's
a
just
handful.
say once.
Yeah.
But she's like, I said, oh my gosh, like she never gets out her emotions. She's like, nope, she'll shut it down, and she'll like almost like just disregard it and like not feel. She just kind of goes numb in that sense. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I kind of was expecting that, and then it was like minutes into our session, I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, it's crazy. I've met you for not more than like 5-6 hours.
Yep.
And here I am just
Letting it all
crying
out.
like a baby, like just letting it all out, because I felt so comfortable and so safe in the space that you have, like that I just felt like I could just release it. It was finally time to just let it all go.
Yeah.
And it felt good.
And then from there, now you just,
Yeah,
cry
now I
and
have my
everything.
moments here and
You'll
there.
message me and you'll be like, great, Karina, I'm crying again now. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but now I don't hold it back though. Like if I ever
That's amazing.
do feel that, even sometimes it's not the best place to be doing it, but like I said, I'm driving and all of a sudden something reminds me or triggers me, and it's just I just let it go.
Yeah.
And it might not be very long, it might just be a couple minutes, but then it just feels good afterwards. But yeah, that was a huge, I think, a wall that I needed to break down in order for me to continue on my journey that I am on now. Because without that, I don't think I'd be where I am today.
Yeah, I love that. And you have actually seen 3 of my students,
Yeah.
2 in person and 1 online. And I wanted you to go see other people. And I think it's really important for everybody to know that when you do find the healer that resonates with you in that moment, sometimes we need to see others to have a different opinion, to, especially when, for me, like if I'm doing work with someone that I know so well, it makes it much more difficult for me to see clearly because I know so much. Now, I was like, here, go see this person, go see this person. And they don't know who you are, and they have no bias, or they have no, inside information about you. They're starting with a blank slate and they can help you properly. And I think that you saw the people that were just meant for you at this time. And they've also peeled off a bunch of layers for you.
Yeah.
Made you cry a little.
I
but
cry
it's
all
helped.
the time now.
No,
With everybody.
You're like, Karina.
Yeah.
But it really does help, I think. And I think it's important that you did get to see the other healers, because not that I don't want to work with you, I would love to, but I know you so well because over the year and a half, which is even crazy to me. I mean, you spent Christmas with us. You came, you and your wife came to Costa Rica with my family. Like we were at the beach together in Central America.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I said, we just clicked instantly. Like I said, you're a long lost family. Like it was just instinctual. Like it wasn't a hesitation. It was just,
I love it.
We just like mesh so well. Like we get along. Like it just vibe off each other. We have good energy together. Like
it always feels positive. We say that every time we're together. We're like, God, that was good. We just needed that. And my kids, who don't like a lot of people because they're very guarded, extremely guarded, they just beam when they see you. They come, as soon as you guys walk in the door, they come running right up to you to hug you so tight. I'm like, who are they? Like,
but it's like they're our own kids too. Like I love spending time with them.
Yeah,
like,
they love you guys.
Even for birthdays and Christmas, like as much as you say don't give gifts and stuff, it's always we just like to treat them like if we're own, because we feel that. Like we feel the love, we feel the positivity, we feel their energy. Like it's just so good to be around your family.
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, I'm obviously biased, but
they're very good.
But they really truly have let their guard down with you guys, which again is shocking to me because they just don't do that. But they did the first day they met you. Do you remember when you came in? They were like, staring at you, and they also felt like it was home. It was weird.
And it's like I said, it's instantly like they didn't want to leave us. Like they were always around lurking.
Yes, they did.
Still talking.
They're still like that. And we,
we love it. I love it.
You guys came for Christmas. We did like comfy clothes, and we
we
played tortilla slap. Remember? I have some video of us like. I don't know if anybody ever has heard about the tortilla slap, where you put water in your mouth and you slap each other with the tortilla.
And I suggest you do it.
It's hilarious. Like we had so much laughter that night, and it was really a great Christmas.
It's just always pure joy being with you guys, and like it's mutual. Like you said, it just, I don't know what it is. It
meant to be past life. There's no question. That's why when I was staring at you when you came into the host's house, I'm staring at you, and I'm like, oh my God. What is it about you? Yeah, I was trying to piece it together because I instantly knew your face. And I'm like, I've never met you. We're in a totally different city than where I live. So I'm like, I know it's not from like anywhere in town. I knew you. So it's a soul connection. I would say it's a soul connection for sure. And I love that both of you are so open to what I do now and some of the people that you've sent to come see me. I'm really grateful for that because that is a huge level of trust.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, especially in the line of work that we do, like I said, we're very need to see proof in order to do it. And we know so many people that are struggling. And like I said, with myself, hiding my emotions and suppressing them and not showing them, how bad it has a negative effect on your body. And when seeing other coworkers that are struggling, and we see that, we like to maybe just offer up that option. Like I said, I don't know if they're necessarily open to it because some people are very closed off.
Very true.
Some people have different opinions on what you do. But like I said, now being around you, we kind of get the feeling when we meet people, like we know the ones that are kind of open to it, and obviously need some help. I know I've told some people to come see you, and same with my wife there, and they've all come back with nothing but amazing things to say, and it's changed their lives. Yeah.
That's why I keep doing what I keep doing, because you guys say to me sometimes, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, but I don't know how you do what you do. And I always think someone has to do the job. Do I think that, it would be easy to go out and be a police officer? No, I don't. Actually, I think that's really scary. I mean, I would like to, because I have some ins on certain really information. And my dream job has been to be a detective. However, I still think, how could I ever approach a situation and not be so fearful? Whereas, if you look at the work that I do, and I'm dealing with so much death and really some negative things, but someone has to do it, right?
It's true. Like I said, even though I work a career path that I want to go into is dealing specifically with children. And a lot of people have said to me, that's one thing I couldn't do. but there's something inside me that is just drawn to it, that I'm just meant to do something bigger than what I do now. It's just general duty. And I just, ever since I've started this career, I've kind of just been drawn towards that section of things, just to help out those that don't necessarily have people to help them.
And for the listeners, how would you explain that, working with children, just so they understand what you would like to do?
So it's called integrated child exploitation. So it's going after adults who are online and trying to exploit children for, it's, I think, sexual nature. So again, leaving those kids that are very vulnerable, kids that don't necessarily have protection. And maybe I'm drawn towards it because I've kind of felt that way as a child. And knowing that feeling, I don't ever want a kid to ever feel like that. And that's part of the reason why I got into being policing, is to help people. And I think that's kind of my passion. I think that's kind of where I'm drawn to and where I'm meant to be. And throughout this whole process, and I call it the journey of me that I'm on, I've started to learn things about that, and knowing that that is something that I've been put on this earth is to help those people that, like I said, especially children, is those that don't have a voice, those that don't have somebody to be a voice for them. And yeah, like I said, just like Karina said, a lot of people want to do that type of job or be faced with that day in and day out, but I'm wanting to make that sacrifice if I have to obtain maybe some negative energy towards that, if that means that I could help out some poor little kid.
And I think that's why even you and I have met, and you will have all of the tools to help you along that journey and to protect your energy and to just go in and do your job and do it well. And I did see that you would be very, very good at it. I do. I see it. I know that this is your calling. And like we just said, someone has to do it. And I feel like you also have a very strong intuition. I think that's why I was so drawn to you that night, was I knew that you had something. You had an ability that you're not even fully aware of. And I think that intuition is what's going to help you in that field. I think you're going to really be given this gift of knowing things that most people won't. And that is going to help a lot of kids. And I know that people have said that to you. Oh my God, Kayla, how can you do this? How can you go into something so dark? But to be that light for the ones that need you on this earth, how can you not? You know?
Well, it's just like you said, that poor innocent kid that was stripped of their innocence and stripped of their chance of being a child because of some individual. It's like, I want to stop that. I want to be that kid's saving grace. I don't need the recognition for it, but I want that kid or kids to have a childhood. Since meeting you up until where I am today now, like, there's been things that have come up that I've trusted my gut feeling and my intuition, and going with it, and then afterwards seeing how well it worked out, and then even just reflecting on it, just being like, wow, like I already thought about it, and I knew it was in there, I knew it was the right path, and I chose it. And look, like, it was already the universe putting the seed in me to say, hey, it's giving me a little hint, push. And I've really kind of trying to hone in on that, even like doing meditations now.
You're meditating.
I am. I'm doing all the things.
I didn't know that.
I'm meditating.
I love it.
I'm now journaling.
Who are you?
Yeah.
You're journaling.
I'm journaling, yeah. And even now I've started coloring, like when I'm stressed.
I did see that. I saw that on Instagram. I was like,
So I've just kind of really, just things I've heard, or if like somebody's been like, hey, you should try this. And there's something in me that says, yeah, you know what? I'm going to.
That's for me.
And you know what? I'm really thankful that I've started to listen to that inner me, to that, I would say, like a little kid in me that's telling me, to like pushing you towards, right? Hey, do this.
Yes.
Because it's worked. And I'm not a big meditator. Like, I never thought I could do that, but I've gotten pretty good at it. And like, I'm
impressed.
It's crazy because the messages that I've gotten through my meditation, and then afterwards I've even had like one of your students pulled cards for me, and it was the exact same message that I got through my meditation, and it was just like almost like mind-blowing, like, oh wow, like I can really do this, like it's really working. Like, I'm just not just doing it to do it, like
something's happening.
And it's really crazy, but I love it. Now I try to do it at least once a week.
Oh my God, who are you?
And then I journal every night.
From who I met a year and a half ago at that party to you sitting here saying, I'm journaling, I'm meditating, and it's just mind-blowing. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and like if I look back, like I said, on my younger years as a teenager, like again, like I said before, I never expressed my emotions. I kept everything bottled up inside. We didn't talk about our feelings. We kept everything inside. It was more or less at like strong exterior. You need to be tough. If you're seen as weak, then you can't show those emotions. Which I'm thankful that life lessons that I've grown up as a kid, and now that I'm able to learn from that, and being able to do what I can now with the meditating and the journaling, just being open to it. I always tell people, you might think I'm crazy, but like I do all this stuff to help me, but it works. And like I said, I was super not against it, but closed off to that.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't have ever pictured you going that path, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, so in times of need, like I said,
you're letting stuff out.
Yeah, and I feel better. I feel lighter. I feel, even when I have like days where I have a little bit of negative energy or anything like that going on, like I try to remind myself, like, or try clearing myself through meditation, or even just taking the deep breath and just kind of
letting it out.
And I'm really good at, I don't know, talking my head or to manifesting, which that I haven't really been able to do too much. I try, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. I'm able to imagine a lot of things in my head. When I've gone to Reiki with some of your students, they even said like you're very good at visualizing, and I think I've gotten better again after meeting you. Like this wall is just open where I'm just able to take my mind out of the current place where I am and just go and process my thoughts, which helps extremely during like what I do for work.
Yes.
If I have a bad day or even in the moment, like I might experience or dealing with somebody who's got negative energy, and I'll be there and present, but I'm trying to control not having that negative energy portray onto me.
Yes, that's huge to learn.
Yeah.
Now imagine, again, taking all of these tools and applying them to the position that you're going for, because it's 1.5 years away. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, approximately. Yeah, I got about 1 year and a bit left, yeah.
So 1 year and something, and you're going to go into a field that is going to be difficult and going to be full of dark, negative energy, but you're going to have all these amazing tools to go in and not only to use your intuition and that ability to help people, but to also not take it all on, because that's part of the reason why I talk about even doing sessions with people for murders and suicides, and I do them quite frequently, but it can be really hard on me because the energy is so heavy. And I'm like, okay, I just have to do my job, but I have all of the tools to clear it, to get myself back into a higher vibration and not to sink into that. So you're going to have this 1.5 years to kind of gain that strength and then go off and really just start helping lots of children out there.
And even, not even just say with my career, but even with my personal life, I'm going through fertility treatments right now, and I've had quite a few ups and downs. So it's very common that we take it out on ourselves. We are our biggest critics, but we also are our biggest supporters. And through this journey of fertility, I've learned that, and trying not to get mad at the universe.
Yeah, that's key.
Because it's hard, right? You want something so bad, but things happen for a reason. There's lessons behind everything that happens, and I've learned that. There's a reason why things haven't happened the way that I planned on doing it, but it's all because of things that I need to do as a person first, so that I can be ready for that journey. And that's why, like I say, I call it on the journey of me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to hone in on myself and do things to better me spiritually, mentally, physically, so that I can be the best person I can be.
And you are. And I think when people do struggle with fertility, I think you're right. I've done a couple of episodes with a few students that actually had that same situation, and they said this, you do end up having sort of like a hate for the body and for your physical being, because you're like, what is wrong with me? And for you to sit here and say that you understand the journey, that you understand that there are lessons and there's timing for everything, and to not curse the universe, that's what is so important, I think, for you, is to kind of at least keep that momentum up of everything is for a reason. I love my body. I love the gifts that I've been given already to this point, you know, those kind of things, the gratitude. And that's something really good for journaling, is gratitude of, you know, what we're grateful for every day. And we just allow the blessings to kind of come in. And sometimes, you know, we don't always understand. And believe me, I am a control freak. Kayla, you know, I can be a control freak. And the reason that I am like that is because I do have the ins for a lot of people and the insight. And it's even more frustrating when I have friends that, you know, I know so well and I want to give those messages to, but I can't see anymore because I'm already too
connected.
Yeah, connected. I think I see, I'd like to see clearly, but I know the situation, so it makes it more difficult for me when I know too much. And that's why when it's a stranger, I always say, you know, some of my students, you know, say, well, it must be more difficult to work with someone that you don't know. And I'm like, no, not at all. Actually, it's the complete opposite. I love to work with a stranger. I know a first name and a phone number, and that is the easiest thing for me because I have
like a blank slate.
It is like a blank slate. It is like not knowing anything makes this so much easier. But when there's a family member or a friend or a good friend, I sit back and I'm like, I don't know if I can see this. And I would say I could see their loved ones easily, like on the other side. Like recently, one of my really good friends came because her father had passed. And I thought the same thing, like, oh my God, am I actually going to be able to see him? Because I know her so well. And she sat down in my healing room and I just went, okay, if you're here, just, this is your chance. And he came in very strong. It was spot on. And that was wonderful. But to also give her advice for her future, I'm not sure I could do that anymore because I know what she wants. I know what you want. I know what Brittany wants. And that's why I said, go see these other healer friends of mine, because I'm like, maybe they'll give you the insight that you need. But I'm just at the point where I could talk to your grandmother. No problem. You want to come in and do a session? I can validate all kinds of things. But to give you advice on your life and your future makes it much more difficult for me. And I just don't know if I can anymore. You know, and that's hard. I'd love to. I just don't think I can because my ego's in the way of, I already know this. So how can I predict something?
Yeah, no, and I could see how that's being very frustrating. And even being just a friend with you, like, I don't ever want that expectation of, like, coming in and hanging out with you feeling that you need to prove yourself. Because I know you. I know what you can do. And it's so grateful to have connections so that if I do need something, like, you've now offered me up to,
which is
to a few other people, and they're amazing people.
They
like they're just like you. Like they have the exact same abilities. Which is nice because you don't have that, like I said, friend connection. And then when we come hang out, we just hang out. Like
we don't even talk about that stuff anymore because it's just like we talk about other things in life. And there is something that I will say to everybody, that being so guarded, and everybody knows that I'm extremely protective of my emotions and my personal life. But between us and Britt, like, there is a level of trust that I do feel. And you saw, I won't get into the whole situation, but I let my guard down one night, you know, and I allowed myself to really just feel. And you saw a part of me that probably a lot of my students and friends haven't ever seen. And I trusted you guys to be able to be vulnerable. And I had, you know, some personal things going on in my life, and I just let it all out one night. And I will say there was a little bit of tequila involved in that. But
just a smidge.
We had gone dancing in Costa Rica, and we had, with a very good girlfriend of mine that lives down there. And it was such a fun night. It was amazing. Yeah. But, you know, sometimes things happen, and emotions just had been bottled up for quite some time. And it was probably, 3 o'clock in the morning. And,
because we were about to catch our shuttle back to the airport in an hour.
That's right. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, here it comes. And I can't stop it. It was kind of like you when you came in. Yeah. You're like, I don't know what's happening to me, because I don't, first of all, I hate crying. Everybody knows that. I've cried for years off and on during my healing journey, and I got sick of it. I really got sick of it. And so I do also have that emotion where I want to block stuff, I want to say.
Well, I think people too sometimes maybe forget that you, even though you have this ability, you're still human. You still have feelings, and you should be able to express them, right? But it might be harder for you because you are so strong. You are that.
I have to be
that
everybody's
healer
rock.
For everybody's, and like you said, you're the rock to everybody. But at some point, that rock does need to let everything go, because you do carry a lot. Like you said, you see people on a constant basis. You see 4 or 5 people sometimes in a day, and that's a lot to burden on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're human. You
Yeah.
need to exude that energy and be able to process that emotions. And sometimes that's seen as a breaking down. That sometimes like
It was a full breakdown.
writing
But
in your journal.
you're
It's
right.
just
Yeah, I think, and that's where I think I do struggle is I deal with people's deepest, darkest secrets and pains and grief. And I am a spiritual counselor. That's what I do. And although I am strong, there are times where certain people that I meet or certain sessions really affect me. And then you add that on top of my own personal stuff. And I have all the tools. And I mean, I'm really grateful that I don't stay down for too long, but when I'm down and I allow myself to fall, it's not pretty. And you saw that. You haven't seen it since. I'm not going to say you have, but
no.
I think it is important. I think everybody goes, well, you know, you do have your life together. I'm like, well, not really. Actually, I'm just trying to make it like everybody else.
Like I said,
I just
you're
have
human.
extra tools that I can have in my back pocket to
Yeah,
use.
it doesn't mean you have bad days. Doesn't mean you have times where you cry and times where you're feeling sad. Like you feel all those emotions that everybody else does.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I just sometimes go, okay, you know, I'm so used to being in robotic mode and I just do it, you know, one after another, and I disconnect from people in between. But yeah, sometimes I forget the kind of work that I do can really take a toll on my soul and my heart and my family. Even sometimes Nick will say that to me. He's like, Karina, we need you too. I know you give to everybody and everybody relies on you and they need you, but he said, we need you too. So you need to like take a break, relax. And I'm not very good at that, but
No, you're a very busy bee. Go, go, go. But that's
Yeah.
like I said in the line of like what we do as work, what I do as work is the same thing as you come in contact with people all day and you hear the worst, you see the worst.
yeah, oh my God, I
And
can't
it's
even
just
imagine.
on to the next. You don't
Yeah.
have time to process the emotions. You don't have time to feel anything. And after a while, like I said, you're just having to put it back in your back pocket. And like I said, because of the tools that I was given as a kid, is just putting it aside, burying it. I didn't process those emotions. I just kind of put it in, and eventually, it's gonna come to, like I said, a volcano.
Like
or
shaking a pop bottle,
It's
you know?
eventually gonna come out, and
Yeah.
the timing was right, and it came out when, like I said, about a year and a half ago when I met you, and it's coming out now. But I know that it's okay. It's okay to cry,
okay.
and it's okay to feel your emotions. As much as people like to think that you are strong and you can take on everything, like we're human. No matter what you do is for a living, no matter what you see, the trauma is like you're everyone's human. Like you can only hold so much, and it's okay to cry.
It is okay to cry. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say, oh, I love to cry. No, I hate it still. Okay. Like when someone makes me cry or I'm upset by something and I, you know, yeah, I know crying is good for the soul. It cleanses energy. It's, tears cleanse the soul. I know that. I've cried for so many years straight that I was like, okay, I'm good now. Right. You know, and
Hit my quota.
yeah, I'm done now. But there's always going to be lesson after lesson after lesson. And when we think we're done with the lessons, they throw another one at you and you're like, okay, great, here we go again. And there's going to be ups and downs and we're going to go through grief and we're going to lose people. And you know, it's life, right? We're all just trying to make
I was
it.
just going to say, it's just all part of life. You're meant to be on a journey. The universe has your path. You're meant to experience things, good things, bad things. There's no rhyme or reason. And I've learned over the past years, there's no point in trying to understand why they happen.
No.
Because that just
That
puts
will
you
kill
down.
you, know,
It just
trying
puts
to
you
figure
into,
it
and
out.
it did. I got into a really dark place, and then, like I said, you just need to live life. Like, stop trying to control things. Again, I'm that A-type personality.
Hello,
I need to be
sitting
able
beside
to,
one. That's why we're
yeah,
friends.
try to
Yes.
control the outcome, which with
Same.
life,
Yeah.
you just can't.
And that's what I struggle with the most is being able to give people the information that they're looking for, and then I'm like, what about me? And I can't see for myself, and that makes it really frustrating. And so then I become extra controlling, and that's when I have to open my hand up, relinquish control, and say, okay, it's out of my hands. The universe, everything is going to happen the way that it's supposed to happen. I need to let go of trying to control it, because I catch myself a lot doing that. Yeah. I was actually writing a whole episode about control, and I'm not done that yet, because clearly I'm still in that midst of trying to control life, right? I mean, I get it. I do need to let go, just like I preach. I mean, I preach it to everybody, but we're the worst ones, the healers, the psychics. We're the worst ones at following our advice, because we're so used to just being that counselor for others that we forget to take our own advice, right? It's like the doctors in the hospital. They're like working 12-hour shifts, and they're really telling everybody to take care of themselves, but are they really doing it themselves? No.
You're so worried about fixing everybody else that you forget to fix yourself. But
police officer too.
Yeah, you should be the number one person to fix, because you can't help others when you need help or fixing.
I think this last year has, well, probably the last 2 years, I would say that I've really learned to take better care of myself, know that, you know, it is time for me to go do something just so simple as like going to getting a massage, or going to get a pedicure, or taking the afternoon off and getting a Starbucks and going for a drive to the store, or anything just for my sanity. And I've been pretty good at that. I'm sort of, right?
But that's again listening to your body, right? Like you get cues here and there that tells you, okay, today I need to take a break.
Yeah.
Or hey, I need to get out for a walk. I'm really feeling kind of gloomy. Or there's always some little sign that gets put into you. And like I said, I'm starting to try to get a little bit better. You might block it out because of what you do all the time, but you, like clearly you just said, you get better over the year. But taking those signs of knowing, okay, this is what I need, or I feel a little hunch, so I'm going to do this. Like there's always that little things that the universe is putting or showing you that what you need next, or what to give you little clues of what you need in life, depending on where you are in your life, in your journey.
Or if we don't listen, they will shut us down.
Yes.
We get sick. We get injured. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've talked about this in another episode where I was going. I didn't take time to breathe. And I actually fell down a flight of stairs and broke my tailbone. And I was really forced to just lay down for a week. And you know me, I can't sit still. So that nearly killed me. I was like, and it was just a really hard time, but I learned a lot. And it, I think it's one of the reasons why I started to pay attention a little bit more to myself, because again, I'm giving everybody the advice. Sure, here, do this, do that. But I think, you know, having that happen, it's always in the back of my head. It's always the reminder of, okay, if you go too hard, I'm going to get shut down. And I know that, you know, and so I will go really hardcore. I'll work like crazy, and then I'll take like an extra day off or something. And I really just need that reminder to do the things that are important to my soul. And that might even be something as simple as taking a bath. Or last night, I was telling you, I literally lay in bed and I started to write. I'm in the middle of writing an episode that really means a lot to me. And it felt so good to just sit there and be and heal and write about it. And that in itself is like important, just slowing down and healing that. Because sometimes we get so busy that we don't actually want to look at our shit.
No, when we put it aside, I think we start neglecting our those signs. And like you said, over time, if you start neglecting them, then it starts becoming negative. Like you said, you get sick, you get injured, and my wife probably gets annoyed at me telling her all of this, but something will happen to her, whether she gets a cold or she starts getting sore muscles or anything. I said, oh, well, maybe that's the universe telling you to slow down, or if she gets sick, it's like, maybe it's this, or I'm always on my phone Googling, what does this mean spiritually?
Are you really
now? I do all the time.
Who are you?
Yeah,
what happened?
I'm a completely different person, but just even to get that little insight of like, okay, like clearly there's something going on that I'm not dealing with, I'm putting aside, or I'm not seeing, that I'm neglecting or not. And just maybe that little hint of like, okay, like, yeah, I just need to start taking maybe some more vitamins, or today I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to go do this. I'm just going to completely let my body relax. And that's maybe just what I need. But yeah, I'm that type of person now. Like I said, I go around the house and Brittany stubs her toe or something, like, oh, well, maybe that means you need to slow down in life. Like, you're just going, you're too busy, but there's always signs.
And that recently, I don't know if you listened to that episode, I had the medium on from South Carolina, and she said the first thing she said, she was starting to do a reading for me, and she goes, "Oh my God, Karina, all I see is you just go, 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 go." And something, and you don't even know this, but something happened recently that has kind of shut me down. And I started to have issues with my feet and my toes. And I'm a healer. Yeah, I know what it means. But I really haven't been listening, and I've been in a lot of pain. And it has actually stopped me from taking my walks that I love.
Yeah.
But I also know that it's the reminder for me to slow down. They're shutting me down in a sense. And I go, okay, I would normally do, my sessions, I would clean, I would do laundry, then I would go for an hour walk. Like, I'm not even able to go walking right now. And that's killing my soul. But I'm also knowing that it's for a reason, and I really have to go within. And when I was writing last night, and I said to you, it was effortless. That's what they want me to do, is heal some more, because we're all like layers of an onion. We can peel the layers back and back and back, but the root's always there, and we need to go to the root. And I'm in the midst of that right now. So that's why I think I got shut down. I know my feet will be fine.
Yeah.
I will heal them, but it is a reminder to go within, and I know what I've got to do.
Yeah, and I think everybody's a constant onion, like you said.
Right.
It just once you get past one layer and you think, oh, I'm
good now.
I'm good. I'm
Yes.
fixed. And something else
I'm healed.
Something else
Oh,
comes
no.
on your plate, and you're just like,
And we're back to square
and,
one.
Yeah.
And
I think that's life. Like, I really think that we're meant to have challenges. We're meant to have the ups and downs, because there's something later on. Like, you're going to learn a lesson from something that happened in that bad part of that layer of the onion is going to help you later on another part of the onion.
Yeah.
You're not going to understand it. You're not going to know why. But it all comes back. Yeah.
I don't know anybody in this world. I haven't met any spiritual healer or guru or anything that has their life together and that is perfect. I don't. It's impossible. We all came here to go through the struggles, to go through the craziness and the hard lessons and the good lessons, and it's just up and down. But we just got to learn to ride the wave, right? As long as we've got our little surfboards and we hang on, we're good. We're not going to drown.
Some waves might be bigger than others, but you'll make it.
And some are huge, like tsunamis, like in my life sometimes. So I'm like, great, I'm drowning. But no, they throw me the lifeboard or the surfboard and go, here, Karina, just learn to swim. And that's pretty much how I've been able to keep going, or I would have succumbed, I think, to the negative energy many years ago.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that you're in this place now. It's exciting for me because I know that when I first met you, to sitting beside you right now, and you're telling me you're meditating and journaling, and I'm like, oh my God, I would never, ever have thought you would have done that a year and a half ago when I met you, because you were just
if you were to tell
not
me
into
that
that.
this is who I am a year and a half later, I would have told you you're
crazy.
full of it.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. Yeah. I love it.
But I embrace it, like, and I feel good, and I don't like even talking about it to people. Like, when I run into a friend at the grocery store, and they're like, "How you doing?" I'm like, it feels good to tell people about it. Like, I feel like a boost of energy. Like, I'm doing this, or like, this is what's going on, or like I said, even like the struggles that I'm going through with fertility. Even when I talk about it now, like I don't feel ashamed. I don't feel the negativeness towards it. I almost feel like this is the journey. This is it. This is part of it. This is what I'm doing. Like, and you know what? I'm going to give it hell. Like, I'm giving it all I got. I'm trying to work on myself and do all the good things. And this is what this is what it is. Like, but I feel good about it. Like,
Which is so good. Yeah.
And it's, like I said, I recommend it for everybody. Like, if you're open to it, if it's something that you're kind of hemming and hawing about, like, coming from somebody who was completely closed off and was complete polar opposite to what I am, like, it has changed my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
And I love that. Yeah. And now we just need Brittany to come on here and share her little journey.
Well, I'll work on that. She's a little shy when it comes to...
She's very shy. But her experience with all of this is like, it was life-changing for her as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's definitely changed as well, for the better.
Yeah, and I say you're a little bit further along on the spiritual path than she is, and that's totally fine. Yeah. But she's opened up to so much, and to watch her kind of like catch herself before she sinks into something that could be that negative is what is amazing. So
yeah, it's really unique to watch.
I can't wait to have her on and see what she says, though. I want her to tell her story too.
Yeah, me too.
She's a funny lady.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say, is that for you guys both being police officers and now you're, really doing this amazing work on yourself spiritually, and you're so much more open. And her as well. I mean, she's a little bit more behind than you in that sense, only because of where she's at and that's how it's happening. But I think even for your marriage and your relationship, I think this is going to help a lot, because having two really heavy positions in the police force, like that's a lot on any marriage in a sense,
Well, and like I said before, keeping everything in and not opening up, like I wouldn't really even talk about things to her. Because I just, like I said, feeling like weak in front of her, but wanting to be still strong for her. So I would just bury it, or just say, oh, it's fine, or there's nothing wrong. I'm good. That's how I've been all my life, right?
Yeah.
So being able to break down those barriers, like I said, it just makes us more connected with one another, because she knows how I feel, instead of me just hiding the exterior. That's when she said she's never seen me cry. It's been 2 years, and she even says to me, it's funny, she's like, I love it when my wife's emotional, and I was like, yeah, well, I don't.
I don't,
but it does. It makes us more connected, spiritually,
she knows
emotionally.
what you're thinking and
and
feeling.
she can feel like the pain that I'm in, so that she understands maybe more of how I'm feeling, and maybe how to approach me and stuff like that,
and wants to help you. And I think you're more open to allowing her to help and listen and be a sounding board, rather than like going, no, I'm good.
Yeah. And I think part of that is, again, the fact growing up, I felt like I was being judged, like I would be judged. Never that she's given me an impression of that, or she has ever judged me. It just, I guess, like I said, it's just the fear,
deep-rooted
rooted in me, that like if I express my emotions of how I feel or show weakness, that she's going to judge me and she's not going to like who I am. But again, that's something that's been rooted in me from a kid, that I've now kind of healed, and now I'm able to cry. I'm able to show those emotions to her, which again, it makes us closer together, and she, again, like you said, can help me heal, can help me get that positive energy back, instead of feeling that sense of like burying. I have to bury it. I can't show, I can't express it because of the embarrassment. Or
that makes a lot of sense. And having that kind of job, at least you guys can discuss, this was a hard day, this is how I felt, this is what happened, instead of just burying it under a rug, because then the energy gets stuck in you and it builds, right? So at least if you're coming home and saying, I had a terrible day, this is what happened, this is what I saw, and at least getting it out, and then having the other person, be there for you energetically to say, okay, I'm just going to be your sounding board. Even Nick's like that with me. If I've had a difficult session, and he'll look at me and he's like, oh, it wasn't good today. And I'm like, no, it's not that it wasn't good. It's just, it was dark, or it was heavy and extremely emotional. And I can't help but get involved in that emotion. I'm human, right? And that's the thing. I can't tell him about my session. I can say certain things of how it affected me and what I'm struggling with. And so for him, he'll definitely be able to just kind of walk me through it, or just be a sounding board, so I could cry a little, because I do cry a lot after. So I said I hate to cry, but I will cry after sessions sometimes, because I am that invested in the people that I work with and help. But he's at least there to kind of balance me out, and vice versa when he's having a tough day. So this is going to help you guys so much, to now that you are open. And even with journaling, writing this stuff out, if you don't even want to talk about it, even writing it out is amazing. That's why I was writing last night, just so effortlessly. It was all pouring out of me.
Or just because I've known, like, if I don't say it, and I'm the type of person, if it's on my mind, like, I gotta say it. Like, I'm not one to keep things bottled in, and I've known over time that if I do start bottling little things here and there, then it starts having a negative effect on my body. So if I necessarily can't say it out loud, or if there's something that bothered me throughout the day, that's where at the end of the day, like, I sit and reflect at nighttime, and I just write those little things out, even if there's something
You're
little.
getting it out.
But I'm getting it out, so it doesn't eat at my soul, it doesn't eat at the positivity, it doesn't eat at my energy, because like I said, it takes a lot to do my job. Some days it's good, some days it's bad. But if that's those little things that I can do to make sure that I'm the best that I can be for me spiritually, for my wife, for our family, for the people that I serve in the community, then that little thing, I will do it. Because even before, when starting doing sessions and whatnot, I always ask myself, like, how do I know I'm going to need another one? How am I going to know that, like, I need it? Because it's not like chiropractor or going to massage where it's like, oh, my like, you know what? Yep, every 2 weeks or every month, you get a routine to get your
Yeah.
adjustments or your just massage. But with like Reiki and even doing acupuncture, it's more or less like in being self-aware of your body. Like, I can't
Yeah.
explain how you'll know, but you just
do know.
know. Like, I feel, especially with Reiki, like I often feel heavy. Like, I feel like I'm just like
Weighted down.
yeah, it's like there's just something sucking me. Like, it takes a lot for me to get ready in the morning. Just doing the day-to-day things, it's just extra. Like, I feel like I'm walking around with like cinder blocks on my back. And then I'm saying to myself, Kate, you know what? Like, it's been a while. It's time to clear it out. Like, because if not, like, it's just going to have all that hard work and all that stuff that I've done to make steps forward. It's just almost
falling backwards.
15 steps backwards.
A lot of people ask me the same thing. Karina, when do I come back? I said, I will never tell you. I will never tell you. Come back in 2 weeks, 1 month, whatever. I will say to people, you'll know. You'll just get the message of, I don't feel good. I want to feel like I felt like after Reiki, and you'll come back. Because it is a good feeling.
It is.
Something,
it feels like you're on top of the world. Like, it just
light.
Yeah, like, you just, if I can describe it, it's like taking a backpack full of bricks off. And it's just like you get off and you stand up, and it's just like,
fresh air.
Yeah, and it's just nothing's blocking. You just feel super light and just ready to take on the world.
Yeah, and that's why I love Reiki. So I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't understand what it is, and I continuously talk about it because it is so wonderful for us. We've been given an amazing spiritual practice to use. Why not? What do you got to lose, right? It's just it's phenomenal. So, well, I'm glad that you're going out and doing all of this healing work on yourself. And like you said, only you will know when the time is right for you to have another session. And I would encourage everyone out there that is listening to this episode that you do just follow that inner knowing, that inner guidance, because the answers are all within us. And if you are feeling guided to get a clearing done, or you're just not feeling right and you're feeling weighted down, like you said, like a backpack on you, go find a practitioner that you feel comfortable with and get this off of you. Because when you do clear the energy and they put in the good positive energy, or it's like a cell phone that's dying, the battery's dying, and you just go plug it in and all of a sudden the battery's full. Well, that's kind of what Reiki is. And energy work, you go and you fill up and you feel fantastic. So I'm glad that you've discovered that, and can't wait to see when your next session is, because I'm sure it's not going to be too long.
Yeah, like I said, I love going. I just had one recently, so we'll see when the next time comes. But if I can recommend for anybody, if you're having that little gut feeling, or that little feeling inside that maybe you should venture out and try some, I would say take that leap of faith, because there's something in you that's telling you that you need it.
That's a good point. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today on the Divine Messages podcast. And Kayla, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your journey with everyone.
No, thank you. It's always nice to have a conversation with you.
I love that you're here with me too in person, just because we're going to hang out after as well. If you would like to book a reading with me, I can be reached at www.divinemessages.ca, or on Instagram at divinemessages333, or at the Divine Messages podcast. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions represented in this podcast are based solely on the Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.